my happiness is the most priceless thing and I cannot sacrifice it to do something that people think is the right thing to do, but I just didn't feel it. I said, I cannot imagine living my whole life or however many years of my life in this environment that was just not aligned with who I am and wasn't making me happy, wasn't giving me joy.
Welcome to And Then I Did This. Prepare to be inspired as we celebrate the unique journeys of individuals who've had the courage to break free and live life on their own terms. Their lives prove that you truly can be free to live your best and most authentic life. Let's get to it. Welcome to another episode. I have a very special guest with me today, Ava Milva. Ava is a healer. She is a coach. She's a teacher. She has so many gifts in the healing arts. We personally met when I was living in Los Angeles and was able to attend one of her events. And I am so excited to have her here today to share her journey. She's also from Bulgaria, which is so interesting to me as well. And I think will be for listeners. So welcome to the show, Ava.
Thank you, Lorraine. So honored to be here. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. Share a little bit about your journey and how you moved through your earlier years and got to the point that you now have Etherica as your business. And we'll talk at the end about things that people can get engaged with because you have some amazing healing offerings for people. But share your background a little bit.
Well, so like you said, I was born in Bulgaria and I grew up there. And my first experience of the United States was when I was 16. I came here as an exchange student. And it's very interesting. I feel like my whole life, I kind of knew I wasn't going to stay in Bulgaria. Like I started learning English at a very young age. I went to an American high school and all of that. So that's all fine. During that time growing up, I felt like very intuitive, but I didn't really know anything about my gifts or spirituality. I just felt like I knew stuff or I could tell stuff before it happened, right? But I thought that was normal. Like I didn't think too much about it. Then when it came time for college, I applied to come to college in the United States and I was still kind of going through the motions, thinking like, okay, you have to go to college. That was just kind of like what you have to do. So I went that route. I finished high school, went to college, ended up going to college in St. Petersburg, Florida. I studied computer science and international business there. And because I went through that, I was thinking, okay, I'm just going to graduate college. And since having been from Bulgaria, I wanted to stay and live in the United States. But as some of you may know, like there's a visa issue, right? You can't just automatically get granted citizenship or green card or anything. So I had a few options after I graduated college. It was to stay and work for a company. And so you have like a 1-year OPT permit where you can work for a company, or you can continue your education and do a master's program, or you can maybe get married if you find someone that you fall in love with, right? So those are the options. But I didn't really want to get married yet. I was like, no, I don't want to get married, especially if it's not for love, no. And I was like, well, my other two options were to stay and work for a company or go study my master's degree. And I was like, well, let me try and work for a company during that 1 year. And so that was like my first and only experience in the corporate world. I had a job for literally 6 months in accounting, right? It was in accounting. And I honestly, my college experience was great. I loved it. And then once I started working in this job, I was so miserable. I was like, oh my God, it felt very soul-sucking to me to be there and spend so much of my time doing something that I hated, right? And during that time, I was getting really depressed and down on myself. And I was like, oh my God, I just can't imagine my life being like this, And then I was really praying too, because there was this other option where you could win the green card lottery. Very rare that this happens. I had already done this process where I applied for the lottery for a couple of years prior and didn't receive anything back. But this specific year I had applied and I was praying. I was like, God, please, like, I really don't want to be stuck in this job. And so that was happening. And all of a sudden I actually ended up getting the lottery.
Mm.
While I got the lottery, one of my coworkers was like, why don't you try modeling? So I actually tried out modeling work while I was in my corporate job. And I realized that in one day of modeling, I could make more than I made in a week of sitting in an office. And I said,
Wow.
that's a no brainer. I was like, that's it. I got done with the corporate job because I was like, I would rather do something that I enjoy with my time,
Right.
have the security of sitting in an office but be miserable. I said, my happiness is the most priceless thing, and I cannot sacrifice it to do something that people
Right.
think is the right thing to do, but I just didn't feel it. I said,
Mm.
I cannot imagine living my whole life or however many years of my life in this environment that was just
Right.
not aligned with who I am and wasn't making me happy, wasn't giving me joy. Now, that's not to say that that's for every person, but that's just what's happening
Right.
to me. And I said, I have to follow what's making me happy. It's my life. And my
Absolutely.
parents were a little disappointed at that time. They were like, you went through 4 years of college and now you're going to do modeling. Like you could have done this without even having been through college, right? I was like, well, I said, right now, that's what my soul is telling me to do.
Right.
And it's not necessarily like maybe what I'll do forever, but it's something that I feel is more fun and expansive
Right.
rather than sitting in this office. And because I had won the green card lottery, that
Mhm.
allowed me the freedom to now stay in the US and work and be a resident and eventually become a citizen and do what my heart desires, which I took it as a sign from God. Because
Right.
I felt like God was like, oh, you're not meant to sit here at this job just so you can have a visa. Like, we're going to give you the freedom. Now
Right.
you get to choose what you do with your life. And I said, okay, I'm going to choose freedom. And so at that time, I was living in Florida. And then again, I had this very synchronistic experience and a sign of having a conversation with my brother who
Mm.
had just been to LA, and he came to visit me and we talked, and he said, I think that LA would be perfect for you. And I'd never been to LA at that time, but
Mm.
said that something just resonated about this, that was a truth for me. And I was like, you know what? I think you're right. I'm going to move to Los Angeles. So without knowing anyone, without having ever been to LA, took my stuff from Florida and moved to Los Angeles because I felt that that would be where I'm supposed to go. I didn't
Right.
know why. I thought I'm
Mm.
coming to be kind of in the entertainment world,
Mhm.
which I was for a little bit. And then again, figured out through being in that world that that wasn't necessarily as fulfilling as I thought it was going to be at first.
Mhm.
Although it
Mhm.
was fun and exciting, I felt like
Mhm.
there was something more for me, for my journey to
Mhm.
discover. Didn't feel like that was specifically my purpose. So, how I ended up in my purpose was while in LA, I ended up meeting someone, falling in love, having a beautiful daughter, and becoming a mom. And then that was just becoming a mom was such a transformational experience. And whoever has been through this or hasn't been
Mm.
through this, maybe can just imagine that that just shifted my whole world and my whole
Mm.
focus and opened up even more my spiritual energy. And
Mhm.
of that, the relationship I was in was very challenging for me energetically at that time.
Mm.
It was a struggle. So it ended up dissolving because of that. And that was something that really pushed me, that really difficult
Mhm.
time becoming a single mom. My
Mhm.
daughter was only 2 years old, was what
Wow.
really was the catalyst for me to go, wow, I need to do some inner work and I need to do some healing for
Mhm.
myself so that
Right.
I can heal from attracting these kind of relationships that are not what I would like to have. So I can
Mhm.
heal from not living a life that I want. I would like to live happy. I would like to live a good life. So my
Mhm.
healing journey really started for me. I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to become a healer now. It wasn't
Right.
something I was thinking. It was like I needed to heal myself and figure out what was going on here.
Mm.
And so that pushed me. I took one Kundalini yoga class at that time. And I felt after one class, so much energy had moved. And I was like,
Mm.
wow, this is so powerful. I want more. So within 3 months of taking my first class, I signed up for teacher training to become a.
Wow.
Again, I didn't do it thinking I was going to be a teacher. I did it because I wanted to do more inner work, to work on myself. And I felt like I wanted to learn what this modality was that helped me so much. I wanted to go deeper. Did the program for 9 months, became a teacher, like officially. However, I didn't start teaching right away. That was in 2013. Didn't start teaching right away because I said, I want to continue learning. So I went and studied with other mentors, other masters, other healers who were incredible, and teachers who helped me. So I ended up studying sound healing, energy healing, mantra, breath work, all of these modalities that I love. And I was just studying them, like soaking them up, like, please teach me all these principles, please teach me all this work. And in this process, I saw how my energy started to just open and grow bigger. And I was like, wow, like something is happening. And I started to receive messages like, you're meant to start teaching, you're meant to start doing this. And so around 2016, 2017 is when I really started teaching. And I really started sharing work with other people. So from 2013 to 2016, 17 was only learning time for me, like for 3-4 years. So it's almost like a university of spirituality. And then I was like, okay, now I'm ready. So I began teaching and began sharing. And I met you, I think, around 2019-ish.
Yes.
Yeah. So by 2019, I started Etherica. Etherica was like a combination of all the healing modalities that I had learned. And as I was sharing this, I'm continuing to learn, right? So the healing doesn't ever stop in the expansion, but it's like now I'm in the stage of sharing, also learning as well. So in a nutshell, that's the story.
Yes, it was so beautiful. So I didn't realize that you had yoga also as part of you, but this sounds like, like a Kundalini, that training just was a catalyst also to where you are today. Because I know that I remember feeling the events that I attended in that magical dome with all of the visuals on the ceiling, and you had like an orchestra, people playing music with you. It was like a sound and healing journey. And I remember thinking, I need to meet her. I need to meet this person because there's something magical about your healing. There were so many people that were there, and I was thinking about it before we recorded today that, you have helped thousands of people heal, and you are just so gifted with what you do. And yes, definitely touched my soul in a unique way. So this is like so exciting to be doing this kind of a recording with you. So talk a little bit about what you're doing now, because you have such an array of things that you are doing to help people heal and address various different things in their lives. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So when I met you, you saw the big events at Erica, and those are magical. And I still do those events. I have now a weekly event because I love doing them so much. Every Sunday, I host a group sound and energy healing experience. And also I have every Saturday I teach a Kundalini yoga class, right? So because I decided to share that as its own modality, it deserves its own space for people. On top of that, I'm also working with people one-on-one in individual healing sessions or in a coaching. So I recommend when I start to work with someone, I can either do one healing session for them, but if it's their first time, I recommend like a 3-month coaching with me, which is they get one session a week with me and then ongoing support. And we go deep within what's going on with that specific person. And I think the one-on-one work is giving me so much joy because that's where I can really address what's happening with someone on a deeper level, because they can come to an event and it's a deeply healing experience. But then I feel like sometimes people need a little bit deeper work. And I feel this is happening more lately because a lot of people are waking up even more spiritually. At
Mm-hmm.
2019, 2020 was all about the group events because that's when kind of like it was like a
Right.
wave that started to initiate people. Now there's a lot of awake people, and I think
Mm-hmm.
people want to really go deep and want to step into their higher purpose and let go of stuff quicker. So the one-on-one work's been really amazing. So I can focus on a person. And then on top of that, I have a group membership. So that's really amazing for people that want to have a live class once a month and have
Mm-hmm.
a different healing, a different topic happen in that container. It's via Zoom. And also, I'm having an energy healer training, which is very extensive. And that one is for people who are gifted, who are healers, who want to develop their own spiritual gifts even
Mm-hmm.
further. That one's starting in March. So I have that as an offering. And I also
Oh,
offer a sound healer training, which is I do every couple of months. It's a full weekend where you learn how to play instruments, how to work with sound, how to use your voice, because voice is very important too, along with the instrument. So I love that. I also can do that as a private training as well. If someone doesn't have specifically a weekend, they can do it in a private one-on-one setting with me as well.
mm-hmm.
Then we have the Women's Winter Solstice Retreat, December 21st, which is Saturday, like a full day experience where it will be a beautiful container where we will gather together. We will connect. I'll share these healing modalities with the women. We'll do a lot of practices to really let go of anything that's keeping us blocked or small or limited in this specific timeline, enter a higher timeline. Recently, my work has been a lot about shifting timelines for people. So that's been something that I can do energetically. So my gift is very interesting because when I started working with it, to now, I feel like it has evolved a lot. So I combine sound and energy. But when I do one-on-one work, it's a lot about energy and moving energy in the same way that you would program a computer. And what's ironic is that I studied computer science in college and I was very good at it. And so now I realize why I was so good at it because now I'm able to do the same with the human body and energy and heal in that way because energy is so powerful. So my work is kind of quantum. It works in the
Yes.
quantum and it's very deep and it's helping people really progress a lot faster. Let's say sometimes they have certain patterns that they're holding about, let's say, what has happened to them. So there's an old story they keep telling themselves about who they are, what's possible for them. And that keeps creating the same exact story. And they're aware of it, but it's very hard to change because there's this energetic broadcast that's there. So
Right.
for my work, I'm helping take that energy broadcast out and shift it very quickly. So that's
Oh,
yeah.
so good. I can imagine because I'm thinking of some of the barriers when I was talking earlier about the transitioning out of someone's corporate role and right away the fear of money comes up. Like, how will I support myself? What will I do? Because a paycheck becomes this fake illusion of security, a false illusion of security. And so I would imagine, how much do you work with people around money blocks?
Abundance is a huge thing. So I love teaching abundance because there are tools that help us increase our abundance energetically and to understand this as an energy. And so, like you said, living paycheck to paycheck is a false sense of security. And if someone has that fear, I always say to them, look, like you think that your job is secure, but you can lose your job at any point. Anything can happen. The money doesn't come from the job. It comes from you. You are the creator of abundance, and abundance is literally everywhere. And I have done this through my own way, which is I have learned how to live in this uncertain world since my modeling days because it's kind of similar. Like you're not guaranteed that you're going to book a certain amount of jobs or whatever.
Right.
But I actually was always able to pay all of my bills and live comfortably with just my work because that was my intention, right? So when you have an intention, you align yourself with abundance. And it's very important to have an abundance mindset, right? So fear and abundance are two opposite energies. If you have fear, you block abundance because abundance, money, it's an easy and it's a very joyful energy. So the more you can embody joy, the more you can embody gratitude, the more you can embody trust, appreciation, and also taking aligned actions, things that make you happy. Abundance is just a natural result of this pattern of you being joyful, you being grateful, you taking the right actions, and knowing that you're always supported. And the way I say it is like the universe, source energy, whoever created us, right? They didn't just create us and leave us here. We are literally supported by that energy. Just like the trees are supported, just like the animals are supported, everyone is supported. All we have to do is just open ourselves to receive the abundance that wants to come into our life.
Right, which is a profound shift in mentality and belief. It's a matter of walking in that direction and owning that.
I think you have to do it scared, right? At first, you are not happy somewhere, but you know that you have to leave and you're fearful. You have to allow yourself to kind of fall and trust that the net will catch you. And what's the worst could possibly happen, right? You have to just allow yourself to face that fear. And once you do it once and you see that you're going to be okay, you can do it then more and more and more.
Yes. And I always say, let your faith be bigger than your fear, and feel the fear and do it anyway, because we will be supported.
The thing is, we don't grow unless we feel like we're flying by the edge of our pants, or whatever the expression is.
Right.
We don't grow in the comfort zone. So we have to feel that feeling like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
Yes.
That's when we truly are expanding and are on the right path. Because if we're just comfortable, then we're actually either stabilizing or going down, because comfort zone is not growth. And the universe, we're part of the universe. The universe is always expanding. We have to be always expanding. That's why I feel people who are in let's say jobs that feel stagnant, they're not happy because there's not enough expansion for their soul. Maybe when they first started, they learned a lot of things, but maybe their things kind of, neutralized, and they're not growing. And that's where the unhappiness, the stagnation is coming from.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because it can, whatever it is you're doing, it can be fun to begin with while you're still learning and trying new things and mastering the skill. But I mean, if you look at the statistics, I mean, there's so many things around people feeling disengaged from their jobs or their work or their employers. We are creative beings. So to not be able to create can also stifle someone's creativity and their passion for life, because it is a show up, do the same thing over and over. When's lunch? When's at 5 o'clock or whatever? If people are even working from home, how can I do as little, the quiet quitting? How can I do as little as possible and not lose my job? And that's not fulfillment.
You're settling. You're still, even then, you're giving up your happiness. I mean, think about it. They say, oh, once I retire, I will be, but you've given up your whole life, the years that are the best years of your life. I mean, although every year is best year of your life, but still you're giving up such a huge portion, thinking for some illusory time in the future. But life's happening now. Life is in this moment.
Absolutely. I never forgot a couple that I knew when my daughters were younger, and they were godparents to one of my daughters, and he worked for years for an electronics manufacturing company, and they had all of these plans for once he retired, and he made it to retirement, and literally within, I would say, months after that, he got a terminal illness and was gone. And she was left by herself then to figure out what was she going to do. And all of I remember them talking about, they had plans, all these travel plans. They had a second property somewhere that they were planning to go in between the places. And so no one's guaranteed tomorrow. And time is one of those things that we never get back. Once it's invested, you can get money back. You can get another car if you get in an accident, but it's you cannot get your time back. Once that's spent, it's gone. And so this is a good reminder for everyone listening to don't waste your life doing something you're not happy doing. Life is way too short, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that happiness is the most priceless thing. A lot of times people work because they want to buy the house or want to have the car. But unless you are happy inside, right?
Right.
Unless you fully love your life, all these other external things will not bring you joy. They won't bring you fulfillment
Right.
because you don't feel happy in your life. And that is, I
Exactly.
feel, the most important thing we should strive for. What is making me happy? What do I want to
Right.
put my energy in? And then allow that to guide you. Allow that to be kind of your North Star where you follow that. And I feel when you do that and you are happy, everything else, abundance, relationships, health, is going to come into place. As you said, when we spend time or energy doing things that are not in alignment, it takes a huge toll, not only on our happiness, but also on our health, on our physical
Yes.
body, because health is very emotional. So every disease happens because maybe we, let's say, for years and years and years, ignored our own inner voice. We didn't trust ourselves. And then down the road, that turns into a physical ailment
Right.
that people, and then was that worth it, right? We have to
Absolutely.
remind ourselves, let's not wait till we get to the point where we have to
Right.
face that lesson. Let's be happy today. Let's appreciate what we have
Exactly.
today. And I always say to people, we have so much to be grateful for. We have
Yes.
so much. And a lot of times people just go, oh, I don't have enough. I need more. I need more. I need more. But really, what do you really need? What matters to you? What's important to you?
Right. And I think
Figure that out.
not a lot of people take the time to do that. And then I think rewinding back to you and I have both done a lot of healing work. And it's so our perspective of what's possible and our perspective of how we want to live life shifts when you're able to heal things and break free from conditioning and programming and things that we are all indoctrinated from the time we're little. And that's why I just think what you're doing is so important in helping people break free from those things that may be holding them back from being brave enough to take that step into freedom, into happiness, and figure out what would make them happy. Because a lot of times people will shut it down because that is scary. It means change. It means disrupting their current flow of what they know. And we're creatures of habit. But stepping out of that, we have a choice of living our life freely or living it with conditioning and programming of maybe what we started out. Just like if you would have stayed in accounting, can you imagine at this point where you would be if you had stayed in that role?
Yeah, I honestly like didn't take me too long at that time. I cannot imagine because even then I had the awareness of like this is my life. Like this is I have one lifetime as this incarnation in this physical body. How do I want to spend that life? Like do I want to spend life in a way that feels miserable? Like I couldn't do that to myself. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. As you were speaking, I was imagining this picture of this like really strong like horse or animal that's tied with a rope to that little tiny like thing, and all it has to do is just walk away from it, right? But it's like the
Right.
illusion of not being free, but actually we are free, and all it
Yes.
takes is like a conscious choice to realize it and to expand our minds and to realize that life is not so rigid, meaning like it's actually multidimensional, it's actually expansive, and actually anything is possible. And
Yes.
we are the creators. Like no one
Yes.
out there is the one. We only give away our power when we subscribe to other people's ideas of how our life should be, and we take them on. But
Yes.
that's the only time we give away our power. But if we say no, I don't subscribe to that. That's not the reality.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
One of
we
my favorite magnets on my refrigerator is if you don't have a plan for your life, someone else will.
exactly.
Because everyone's energy is here to be harnessed. And literally, I've had so many realizations, I think, because I'm almost 10 years now out of the corporate environments. And when I look at some of the phrases and language that we use, like human resources, just as we would say, like iron ore is a resource or whatever tangible thing, like this is a human resource. And I'll go back to our analogy of the illusion of job security. I've written about this, talked about this, that we always would have a short list of if we need to reorganize, we need to cut some money off the bottom line and boost the bottom line. It used to be last in, first out. And then it would be based on performance. And now I say, we're not monkeys. We're not animals at a circus. I mean, we're human beings. So why? But until you get out of that environment and look at some of the vernacular and phrasing and how we look at things, it takes a while to deprogram from that. So I say companies are not a family. The HR does a really good job of human resources of putting those phrases through there, oh, we're all one family and we care. I know that companies do care, but anyway, it's more important for people to be true to themselves. I think that's the point we're making. Be true to yourself. Don't sell yourself short. And it's just like that elephant where I saw the analogy of them removing a chain from around an elephant's ankle, and it's been chained for years, and the chain now has been removed, and that elephant still will stand there, not realizing it's free. Like you can walk away and go in the grass or go wherever you want to go, Yeah.
Yeah. It's harder if you've been conditioned, like the longer you've been in a certain environment, the more the environment impacts you. That's why it's so important to do practices like healing work, which helps you deprogram and helps you the way I explain it is like there's neural pathways about how you operate, how you function, what you believe. And because there's certain beliefs that you've held on for years and years and years, they've created really strong neural pathways now that you formed and viewpoints about the world. And so whatever you believe about the world to be true, that actually becomes true for you. That's how powerful we are. So you've been conditioned to believe that this is the only way. This is a very huge river that you've made of a neural pathway in your system. Now, in order to reprogram, we have to create a new pathway, but the new one is going to take some time to shape. And that's why I like to work with people over time to help them really solidify these new belief system, new viewpoints.
Yeah.
But it's so rewarding because I see how once people start to realize a whole new world opens up, right? And like you said, in the corporate world, it's very much like a carrot in front of the horse. I have clients who are in those jobs, and basically what's happening there, they're always being dangled. Like, you got to work more, you got to do more. And so they're always being treated. And if you don't do enough, you won't get the bonus, or you won't get the promotion, or you're not going to whatever. And so they keep bending them over backward and ruining their health just to serve a company that may or may not give them the bonus, may or may not give them the promotion, may or may not keep them as employees a year from now. And I'm like, that just seems really cruel. It's like literally working these people down to the ground in a very inhumane way. Even the way businesses, I mean, of course businesses need people, but even the way they do it is not in a line with honoring these people's well-being, these people's energy, these people being grateful for the employees, but just treating them as these disposable workhorses that they have to keep working and working and working. And people are afraid to set their boundaries and to say, no, I'm not doing that. No, if you want me to do that, I would like an increase of my salary. That's not in my job description or whatever. Or no, I'm not even in alignment with this job to begin with. That's not even my sole purpose. Why am I even here, right? For people to give themselves permission to say no, to choose themselves, to choose their well-being, to choose what's serving their highest good. And I would say, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. The worst thing you can do is lose your own soul. So that's the most important thing. You got to make sure you're keeping in every situation, keeping your soul intact. And when you have that, everything else is good.
Absolutely. So good. So good on every level and front. I'm so excited. I am going to be putting all the links to get in touch with you, because I really encourage anyone who is on the fence, anyone who is considering making a shift, and is afraid to do so, reach out to Ava and she will help walk you through those fears to get to the other side. I just got goosebumps, which I call angel wings, confirmation that yes, that this is exactly what some of the people listening need in their lives to be able to take that next step and be free and not be living life on autopilot, but live life on purpose with intention. So thank you so much for coming on this show and just, wow, I will see you at the winter solstice event. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Such an honor and such a fun conversation. Thank you, Lorraine.
And that's a wrap on another episode of And Then I Did This, celebrating the lives of those who've walked away from the beaten path to pursue work and a life that nourishes their soul. If you're feeling inspired and ready to explore your own path to freedom, check out youcanbefree.life, where you'll find resources and support to help you break free and live life on your own terms. See you next time.